Hi everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to today's video. So as promised, I'm going to do a quick recap of both the Christmas party and the Jollywood Nights and which one we liked better. So I will bring Ryder in at the end and ask him kind of what was his favorite parts of each party and then which one he would recommend for kids his age. But let's start with the Christmas party. So I'm going to try and make this a quick video because I tend to ramble. But let's start with the Christmas party. Now we had planned, you can get in at 4. We had planned to get there at 4. We drove up that morning. My husband did have to work the night before. He works overnight. So we left at noon and it ended up being like a 5.5 hour drive. It's normally a 3-hour drive, but it was like a 5.5 hour, almost 6-hour drive because there was 3 accidents. There actually wasn't that much traffic. It was Black Friday. Wasn't that much traffic, but we got stuck in, a lot of traffic because of accidents. But we got to our resort. We're able to change really quick and got on the app, got on the bus. So we actually made it pretty quickly once we got to actual Walt Disney World, we were able to get to the party pretty quickly, got on a bus fairly, we knew it was there. We walked up, it was pulling in because of the app, which is great. So we got in, we walked in around 6:30 and we got in line for Jack and Sally. At that point, it was a 35-minute wait. And that was the one thing we wanted to do. We wanted to see Jack and Sally before the party started. And we were able to do that pretty much. I mean, we got out just as the party, it was like 7:10. So that was, it was fine. It wasn't a long wait. We never did see Mickey, but we knew we were going to see Mickey and Minnie the next night. So, and then there in Town Square, it's not, it's an automatic camera. So it's not a photo pass photographer. The photos are very different. So that wasn't a priority. And then we went down the alleyway that they have, where they had like a DJ and they had like the Snope and, that's where they had the gingerbread man. So the gingerbread man was a little bit of a wait. It was maybe 15 minutes, but because they switched that out. And at one point they only had 1. So some of the people before us only took a picture with 1 and then they switched them out and then 2 came out. Actually, 1 came out and then the other one came out about 5 minutes later. So we did end up having 2 gingerbread men, which was great. The photographers were really rushed in that one. And we actually only got 1 usable picture because in the other, I think 3 or 4, we were adjusting. So the photographer just didn't really care, but we got 1 good photo, which is really all you need, to be honest. So that was fine. So that was good. But I was glad we waited for that one because that was a new photo, kind of specific to the party and something you're not going to get anywhere else, which was great. Then we did, once we went to the cookie station, the first cookie station at Cosmic Rays was super packed. There was a line and it was just very chaotic. It felt overwhelming. It really felt overwhelming. That was the only one that felt like that way. And then they kind of did die down as the night. They did have some great gluten-free cookies and granola, which was great. I didn't really film that. I should have, but really great options and you could get them at each stop. So you could ask for that instead of a cookie. I got a couple and then I also just got cookies because they were packaged and we freeze them and then we have them for, honestly, they ate so many while we were there. It's probably not going to last that long, but we got a good amount of cookies. We got a good amount of cookies and, the hot chocolate was warm. I wish it was a little hotter because it was cold that night, but it was good. We did have dinner there at Cosmic Rays. I always recommend if you have an allergy, order in 2 separate transactions. I did that. Mine took an extra 15 minutes to get there. They were, mine's ready. Next one, I'm here. And Ryder and Ray's were done. And then mine took an extra 15 minutes. That's just how it is with an allergy. So they actually were done with their food before I even got mine. But that was fine. They had the little Disney Junior event that was going, the dance party. So Ryder got to enjoy that while I ate. And so that was good. I liked that they had a regular menu. They did have the special menu, but we just wanted to get something to eat quick and it was good. We had planned to eat before we got there. That didn't work out. So it was, it was fine. And I liked that where you eat, there was something for him to do while I was still eating. He was able to kind of interact with the Disney characters. So that was really good. Like I said, the first couple cookie stops, I did hear that from others that all the cookie stops early on feel really, really congested, but that dies down as the night goes on. Now, as far as the other characters, we really weren't planning on going to see Santa Claus. That was kind of a maybe if we have time. But because of the rain, we started running and we kind of made it to the tent. We got to the tent first to kind of duck cover. And then it started raining pretty heavy. And to get to the tent where Storybook Circus was like, okay, we're gonna get soaked, so let's just you want to see Santa, and they had the crafts there. Ryder loves crafts, so it was like, okay, I'll stand in line, we'll see Santa. Santa was amazing. So that one took about 40 minutes. So that was 40 minutes of the party that we really weren't planning to do. But I loved that they had the crafts. Like the crafts, they had like little ornaments, and then they had like mini M&Ms and candy canes to have to the kids. So that was like, Ryder didn't feel like he was waiting in line, because he wasn't. I was. And it was, so I thought that was just designed really, really well. Would I had rather have seen like Santa at Disney Springs? Probably. We didn't end up going to Disney Springs, but we got great pictures. The pictures were amazing, and it ended up being good. Like, we got pictures, we're in our pajamas, it was good. So again, not a plan for our night. I have heard that Santa's there like during the day, and the line's like pretty short. So, if that's something you can get done before the party, great. But if it's like us and you need something, if it's something that your kids want to do, it's great, because the wait is, they do let you have that interaction and ask. So it does take a little bit longer than a typical character interaction, but the line does move pretty fast. And like I said, the kids get to wait. Now, because of that, we didn't get to go see the other characters, the ones in like Storybook Circus, which was Daisy, Donald, Scrooge McDuck, and Minnie. That was one of the ones that I wanted to do, but we saw Santa instead, and we just never made it over there. And that was like a 45-minute wait, and I didn't want to waste more time. So once we finished with Santa, the rain had stopped. Like, it stopped really, like right when we were getting up to Santa, we saw that the rain had stopped. So we didn't really waste much time, because we just were ducking from the rain. So that kind of worked out the way it did. It was fine. And then we went to Tron, and Tron was a little bit of a wait. The first time was a little bit of wait, but it wasn't too bad. You don't need a virtual queue, which was great. You didn't, last year when we went to the Halloween party, you had to wait for your time, and then you could be like by Big Thunder, and then you're called and you have an hour to get there. I love that there's no queue anymore. There's no virtual queue. So we got to go, and it wasn't bad. And the line was taking a little bit long, and we didn't want to waste more time. Ryder likes waiting for the back. So we told him, hey, you're not going to wait for the back. You get what you get. Well, we ended up getting front row, which I really like. Front row. It's a different experience. It's much slower. But that launch in the beginning is amazing. So when you're going up and you're doing the outside portion, I love that. If you're in the front, I love it from the back too, but in the front, it's really great. Inside, it's slower and it's not as visually appealing, but it was fun. So I was glad we did that. We also did Space Mountain, early on, like after dinner, we did Space Mountain, and they had the overlay, completely different than the Halloween. Halloween, it's pitch black. This one, you have all the lights. You actually can see the track, which was different. They had the music. Ryder really liked it. I liked it, but it didn't. The one from Halloween, I think is kind of better, just because it's more intense. This one, it felt like, I was like, this roller coaster is not that big of a deal, because you can see the track. Where when it's in the dark, it's scary. So if you are one that kind of don't like Space Mountain, then maybe it's a good time to go, because you can see more of the track. Now, Ryder had said he didn't want to do any of the parades or the fireworks. We found out later that the first parade was canceled because of the rain. That was when we were in line for Santa. We had heard like that it ended up being like a rainy day cavalcade. So we didn't find that out until the next day, but kind of makes sense. And that makes sense also because when the second parade, we couldn't find a spot. Like, I was kind of looking like just to grab a spot, and you couldn't because it was packed. Makes sense because the first parade was canceled, but was never really on our agenda. I like the parades, I like the fireworks, but that was not on Ryder's agenda. So it's kind of like I get to see them from afar, which is fine. I've seen them before. It is what it is. We got to see a lot of the fireworks from Fantasyland, which is really cool because you're kind of in them. Like, it's just like they're surrounding you, which is a really cool experience. We did the same thing at the Halloween party. I like sitting down and watching them, but I also don't mind that, where it's also a really great time to do other things. So we were headed back to where Tiana and Big Thunder was, and the fireworks were finishing up, and I asked, like, how long is the line for Moana? And they said, oh, it's like 10 or 15 minutes. And I was like, okay. And I said, Ryder, do you want to? He goes, no. And then as we were walking, he goes, well, yeah, let's do it. So we went, and another family had gotten in line. If we had just gone when I said, it literally was a walk on. So I've heard that like a lot of the characters during like the fireworks and stuff, it was a walk on. So I heard the line for Moana wasn't, it's pretty light the whole night. We did try and go see Anna and Elsa and the other princesses. They said it was that was during the fireworks. They said it was a 45-minute wait. I was like, no. I heard it was less, but they said it was 45 minutes. It's not on the app. I wasn't going to risk because you really can't see the line. So it wasn't a priority for Ryder. I wanted to see them, but you know, it is what it is. Tiana's walk on, complete walk on. Big Thunder, pretty much a walk on. You know, the hardest part is walking through the queue, right? That's pretty much our log wasn't even full. Like our last row was empty. Big Thunder, we had to wait like once we got down to the bottom, but it was pretty much a walk on. So, and then we went back to Tron, and we got some pictures. We didn't really watch any of the stage shows, but we did a lot of cookies, a lot of hot chocolate, and just had a really good night. Bus coming back took a long time. It took like 20 minutes. We missed the first bus. We were like 10 people deep. We missed it. And then it was like 20 minutes between that and the next bus, which was a long time, especially at, 12:30 at night. But we ended up getting back to the resort. It was a great night, had a great time. And, we hadn't been to the Christmas party in a long time, and it was great. Okay, so now let's talk about Jollywood Nights. Jollywood Nights, it's instead of 7 to 12, it's 7:30 to 12:30, but you can't get in until 6. So instead of 4, you can get in, instead of 3 hours, you can get in an hour and a half early. We still were late. But this was not because of driving. This was just because I was really tired during that day. And we did go around the boardwalk and look around, but I just couldn't get going and start to get ready. So it was completely on me. So we ended up getting to the Skyliner. We did want to take the Skyliner over. Skyliner's not open to come back, which we knew, but we did want to take the Skyliner over. We enjoy the Skyliner. Probably would have saved 10 minutes to get on the bus, or even to drive there, but we wanted to take the Skyliner, and it was great. I was glad we did. It was pretty quick. It was a little bit of a wait, but it was fine, and I enjoy, going on the Skyliner. So we got into the park around 6:30, 6:45, I think. I can't remember. That was the only thing, was we were trying to get to Santa Duffy, and we had heard that Santa Duffy, all the reports was that Santa Duffy started meeting at 7. So we tried to get over. So you go through they have like the secondary entrance for Jollywood Nights. We saw the picture. We kind of skipped it because we were trying to get to Santa Duffy. So you had to like all walk around and then go back to where Grand Avenue is to, and then Santa Duffy had like a 50-minute wait, and the cast member said he would not come out until 7:30. And I said, I heard he came out at 7, and they said, no, he comes out at 7:30. I heard later that he did come out at 7, but it was 6:45. I wasn't going to risk, because that line was already 45 minutes to 50 minutes. If he didn't come out at 7:30, then we're talking it's going to be an hour and a half wait. So I was like, okay, we're going to come back later. So we had to kind of refigure out what we were going to do. So we went back. We took the Jollywood Nights photo with, in front of the sign. And then right before 7:30, so that was still before the party started. And then we went to get a drink. I went to get a drink. And as we were in line, it was my son's kindergarten teacher's daughter, who also was the teacher's aide when he was in kindergarten. She was in the college program. Now she works part-time, and she was there, and she was actually like waving to me, and I'm like looking at the thing, and she's like, I'm like, hi. And then I was like, oh, wait a second, I know you, which was actually a little embarrassing, but I had the little drink, and you actually can keep the champagne flutes this year. So I had to get 2. I did get one at the end of the night, but that was great. The drink was so much better than last year. Last year, it felt like pre-mixed. It felt watered down. It didn't feel like a cocktail. It just was not, they were not good. This one was excellent. It was excellent. The only thing is I kind of had to chug half of it because we went in line for Tower of Terror, and it was a walk-on. So I pretty much got to as soon as you get to the, like the first, the queue, the room, you have to kind of, you can't have any drinks. So I had to drink it really quick. But that, you know, there's worse problems to have. We did take a picture right before, in front of the Tip Top, you know, Tip Top Lounge, which we got not the best pictures, but not bad. But Tower of Terror was pretty much a walk-on. Then we took a photo. I saw like a photographer, and the photo was like down below. I love that photo. It's like, it came in black and white too, but it's just great right in front of Tower of Terror. Very unique. I just love that photo. You know, Ryder didn't want to stop for it, but I was like, no, I want to do this one. We didn't do many magic shots that night because I really didn't know where they were, and I didn't really research that. Our focus was more on characters and stuff. But and then it was kind of like, okay, let's just kind of do what we wanted. He didn't want to go on Rock and Roller Coaster at that point, which I thought was kind of funny, but he's like, no, I don't want to go, not yet. It's like, okay, that we ended up ending the night with Rock and Roller Coaster. But, and then we just we started taking pictures. We went and saw, Santa Stitch had gone from a 50-minute wait to a half an hour. So that was, now Santa Stitch does have an automatic camera. We knew that before, but it's very dark. They're not the best quality photos, but we never get to see Stitch. So Ryder really wanted to meet Stitch. So we did that, and the line wasn't too bad, and it moved pretty fast. We also grabbed some food at Baseland Tap House. And Ray got a drink, and I had the charcuterie, which was good. It was really good. Actually, it was really good. The cheese was fantastic. And then we went and saw Mickey and Minnie, which again moved really fast. Loved having it with Mickey and Minnie. And with also when you go to the sorcerer's room, you actually can take pictures just with your own camera. So we actually just took some pictures with Ryder in the room, and he took some pictures there. So, and then we went to Galaxy's Edge. I think I'm trying to remember all the stuff we did. But we went to Galaxy's Edge, and Ryder didn't want to ride Rise of the Resistance, but he wanted to ride Millennium Falcon because he wanted to be the pilot. And we got our own plane, I guess, spaceship. We got our own Millennium Falcon, so we did that. It was a walk-on. It was a 5-minute wait, but it was pretty much because you had to walk through the queue, which was 5 minutes. That was it. Like, you couldn't use the lightning lane, but we walked through the regular queue, which was fine. And it was literally, you walked on and you had your own spaceship. Then we came out. We did wait a little bit for the lightsaber photo, but Ray really wanted it. You know, there was one lady waiting, and then her husband and son came out, and then they all took individual photos, and then they took a group photo. So it took a little longer than we thought, but it was fine. And that one we probably waited about 15 or 20 minutes, which it didn't look like it was going to be that long. It just ended up being that long. The Mandalorian and Grogu were by the roasters, by the little shops area. Great. You could actually sit down because they had like chairs and tables that are already there. So you could sit down in line, which was nice, but it moved really fast. You know, there's not much interaction with Mandalorian, but it was really great to have. Ray had never seen him. And then it was really great to have a PhotoPass photo because usually he doesn't have a PhotoPass photo. So that was really cool as well. So really great that we did that. Then we went to Toy Story Land, and we just did Slinky Dog Dash. It was cold. It was like a half an hour wait, which wasn't too bad, and it was cold. I think that's probably why it was a little bit less, because I heard that the line had gotten higher, but because it was cold, it wasn't that long, and it moved pretty fast. And then what we decided to do was, Ryder really wanted to see Joy, and he loved Inside Out 2 and really wanted to see Joy. He missed her in July. So we went to the dance party. I got a picture of him with Joy, but then I left to go to see Santa Duffy. And I got in line and I texted my husband and I said, okay, it says 40 minutes, but it's not. It was half of what it was when we went earlier. So we went there and it was like 25 minutes. It was pretty quick, to the point where they left the Pixar party and they went on Mickey's Runaway Railway, which was also a walk-on. And I ended up having to let people go in front of me because I was waiting for them. So we ended up taking about a half an hour, but that was because 5 minutes I was letting people go in front of me. Then the only thing was that there's a little bit, like when you go inside the room, there's like a little bit of a wait. And at that point it had gotten really cold. So I had my jacket on and everything. And there's like a 2 or 3 person wait inside. but because the character was switching out, when we walked in, it was like, hey, there's Duffy, and I wasn't ready. Like, I didn't have my camera out, so I really wanted to get that video where Ryder got to see Duffy for the first time. I didn't get that because we weren't prepared for it. It's fine. He got to see it. He got the experience, and I got some of it on camera, and we got some really great pictures, but it did feel a little rushed because of that situation, but that was it. Okay, and then I did forget to mention earlier in the night, we did do the robotic arm. So we did kind of do a little bit of walking back and forth within Muppet, and that probably wasted a little bit of time, but not too much. It's not like Magic Kingdom where it's huge. So we did walk a little bit, you know, back and forth, but we did the robotic arm. When we went, it was only about a 15-minute wait. It went pretty fast. The group in front of us, like they all did like individuals, it was like a large group, and then they did a bunch. They didn't let you do that last year. Like last year they were really strict. I guess since the line wasn't that long, they were being a little bit more flexible. We probably could have done both because they have the snow globe and the dancing one or the fast one. We didn't ask. I don't like taking that much time, especially when I know there's other people in line. But, you know, so if you wanted to, you could probably ask if the line's not too long, because they were letting some people do that. Like this one group, they were like a group of like 12, and they did like 2, and one person did 1, and another person did 1, and then there was like another like 2 people, and then they did 1 group all together, which again, last year they did not let you do that. So, but we did the robotic arm. I was happy. It was a little off center, like where they put us was a little off center. We could have redone it, but it was just like, it's fine. We did it. Like we got it. It's fine. So I was happy we did it. It was fun. It has Fozzie. I like the setup this year. And I think the line wasn't as long because it was kind of hidden in the back. You had to know it was there. And I think that really helped keep the line kind of at a reasonable time. Now, we didn't do any of the other characters. I really wanted to see Jiminy Cricket and then maybe Scrooge McDuck. But again, we didn't want to waste. I really wanted to focus on things that Ryder wanted to do. And Santa Duffy was the one that we wanted to do. And once we did Santa Duffy, it was like, okay, what do you want to do next? And he wanted to ride Star Tours. Which is funny. Like he wanted to ride Millennium Falcon and Star Tours, but he didn't want to ride Rise of the Resistance. So he wanted to ride Star Tours, and then Tower of Terror, and then also Rock and Roller Coaster. So that's what we did. So we went to Star Tours, pretty much a walk on, and then we went over. And as we were headed to Tower of Terror, we ran into a friend of mine. So we talked for about 5 minutes, but again, at that point it was already midnight. So we were kind of running for time. It was like, okay, we got 2 more rides to ride. So we got to cut it. I went back, I got another drink. So I was able to get another drink. So I have my matching champagne flutes that say, like, they're plastic, but they say Jollywood Nights. So I was happy to have those. And then we were able to get in line for Rock and Roller Coaster. And we got out of Rock and Roller Coaster right at 12:31. So, and then we could have gone, the plan was to go to the sing-along at 12:30. There was a show at 12:30, but Ryder, and that was what he wanted to do. He was like, I want to see the show. Because he loved Night Before Christmas, but he was so tired. He's like, no, I don't want to go. So we just went back to the bus. Bus was really quick. Got on the bus really quick. And we headed home. So the only thing was we didn't buy any merchandise, but besides the drinks, but they handed out those champagne flavored marshmallows. They're not good. They're just not good. Like that was really the only negative of the night is they're just don't like, don't even try them. Just, no. Okay. So I'm definitely going to give you my thoughts on which party I liked better and for why, and which one I would recommend and for who, because I do think there is a little bit of a demographic. But before I do, let's go to Ryder and ask Ryder which one he likes and which one he would recommend for, kids his age. Okay, so I have Ryder here, and we are going to talk really quick about which one you liked better. So what was your favorite part of the Very Merry Christmas Party? Look at the camera.
Space Mountain.
Space Mountain, because the overlay was Space Mountain. So did you like it better at the Halloween party or the Christmas party? Because the Halloween party is dark, and then at the Christmas party, you actually get to see the track. You like them both equally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're Switzerland. You're such a little politician. Okay. What was the other thing that you liked about the Christmas party?
Jack and Sally.
Jack and Sally. So it was the first time. I think we had seen Sandy Claus one time, but I can't remember. I think you were little. Anybody else that you really liked to see at that party?
No.
No? Okay. What was your favorite part at Jollywood Nights?
See, Santa Duffy.
Santa Duffy. Santa Duffy. So that was obviously your favorite character. And what else was your favorite part? What other things did you like about Jollywood Nights?
The Tower of Terror, like the lights on there.
The Tower of Terror. Oh, the light show on the Tower of Terror?
Yeah.
And you liked that Tower of Terror was always a 13-minute wait?
Yeah, and that means it's zero.
It's zero.
It's
zero.
a ghost town.
Okay. So if you had to recommend to kids your age, not adults, but kids your age, which party, and they could only go to one party, which would you choose?
Jollywood Nights.
Yeah, Jollywood Nights, hands down.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because there's a lot more things to do.
There's a lot more things to do, and it felt less crowded, right?
Yeah.
A lot less crowded. So it was a lot of fun.
Like, before the party starts, it's crowded.
Yeah, because there's still people.
But immediately when the party starts, the Hollywood Tower of Terror goes to a 45-minute wait to a 0-minute wait.
13 minutes, which means 13. 0.
Yeah.
And I liked it because they sold mommy drinks.
Yes.
They sold mommy juice.
Yes.
So, okay. So thank you so much for joining.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so you heard it from Ryder. He recommends Jollywood Nights for kids. He was like, hands down. We had a great time at both parties. Fantastic. However, I would hands down say Jollywood Nights to us I'm glad that Jollywood Nights was the second party because it was such a better experience. It didn't feel crowded. It really never felt crowded. It just completely different experience from last year. Obviously, it wasn't the first night, but then also we didn't have like the PR and the influencers that were like being catered around. So we didn't have that, but it was just spread out. It was really spread out. We never even made it over to an animation courtyard. Like we never even tried. We missed the fireworks, which again, the fireworks were last year were at the end of the party. This year they were in the middle. So we had planned that we were going to miss them, which was fine. But it was really spread out. Like they had a little something in Galaxy's Edge. They had a little something. So they had characters everywhere. Everything was spread out, so not everything was condensed at the front of the park. It was just great. And because of that, everything felt, there was just everywhere. And then even with this ice skating, I never even saw them do the ice skating, but they had a section where you had to sit down, and then they had a standing only section. So it made it easy for a lot of people to see. So if you sat down, you could sit in the front, and if you wanted to stand, you had to stand in the back, which I thought was really, really, designed really, really well. I liked that they had Mickey and Minnie together. The setup was great, and it was indoors with nice lights. The photo pass in front of Sci-Fi Diner was great. We did a lot of photos. Photos are included with Jollywood Nights. And again, like the party, I guess because the party with Magic Kingdom, we've done it a couple times, plus we just did the Halloween party. It didn't feel as special, but it just feels the Christmas parties have gotten, really, really packed. And I've heard people say, well, you went on Thanksgiving weekend. Well, they're supposed to be the capacity is the capacity. And when they sell out, they sell out. So the capacity should be the same. And my understanding is that they're the same. I could be wrong, but it was still Thanksgiving weekend for Jollywood Nights. And I believe our night was sold out. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it was sold out. And it never felt crowded. There was a little bit of a line for Slinky Dog Dash. I don't know if there was a line. I think the Rise of the Resistance was like 10 or 15 minutes. So that wasn't even that long. But it was just great. Now, the only thing is if you have little ones who can't ride a lot at Hollywood Studios, because there are some rides with height restrictions. You've got Slinky Dog Dash has a somewhat of a height restriction, Millennium Falcon, Rise of the Resistance. There's a lot of rides with a height restriction. So if you have kids that can't ride anything at that age, then probably Magic Kingdom or the Christmas party. But, 7, 8, 9, there's a lot to do. And there was a lot to do for Ryder's age. I heard the shows, I think the shows are great, but there was just a lot to do, a lot of characters. It was just a fun night. It was great. And you can't go wrong with having a little bit of alcohol, throughout the park. It's always a nice option, but not necessarily, not necessary, but it was just fun. And great night. I had a great time at both parties, but if next year I had to pick one, I would probably pick Jollywood Nights too. I think it was great. I'm so glad it came back, and I'm so glad they made the improvements that they did. So with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.